My name is Siba Abu Dakka. I'm Palestinian from Gaza, but I live recently between Cairo and Germany, like Egypt and Germany. Cairo, Munich, Berlin, all around, talking about clean shelter, talking about Gaza and the activities we have been doing. Like some of you were here last February, and maybe they know the story, how I met Tom Kellner and how we decided together to start this organization. Actually, it wasn't an organization. We just wanted to do something for Gaza. And we started with doing some need assessment, and we decided to start with toilets because everybody else forgotten about. They provided tents, they provided shelter, maybe they provided food kits and maybe hygiene kits, but like toilets weren't like center of interest for people, while women need them the most because they need their privacy and hygiene. Well, for sure, men need toilets, you know, right? But like not as much as women. Like women need more privacy when it comes to this. But we allow men actually to use our toilets so far. Yeah, we wanted to see how much we fundraised and build few toilets, and then we stop, maybe. We didn't think if we stop or we continue or whatever, maybe we do thousands and thousands of toilets. We fill the world of toilets. We didn't know we will be here today. We didn't know it's going to become a registered organization in Germany as it is now. So I'll leave you with Tom. She will introduce herself and tell you more about how we started.
Great. Hi. So I'm Tom Kellner. I'm an ex-Israeli. I've been living in Berlin for the last 10 years, more or less. I met Seba on the 8th of October, 23, incidentally. We were part of a dialogue group for Israelis and Palestinians living abroad. We met online. And I knew that Seba is from Gaza. I knew she had family and friends there. And I think around already November 23, I contacted her privately, and I wanted to voice my, my solidarity and my concern. And I also wanted to do something. And I felt that Seba is very like-minded. I really appreciated the fact that she was already doing things. She was trying to help family and friends in Gaza. And I wanted to help too. So at first, we didn't really know what to do. But like Seba said, she spoke with family and friends and did a very quick need assessment. And it was quite clear that toilets are an issue. And I like the idea of toilets, not only because, as Seba said, it's a feminist issue, also because I felt it's very doable. It's a tangible thing. You can, you can create a very, very basic do-it-yourself toilet within a couple of hours. You don't need a lot of people to do it. It doesn't cost a lot of money. It's easy to fundraise for it because you can photo it. You can document the process. It's not vague, it's not as stealable as other things. And we were thinking about all of these things because when we thought about fundraising for it, you have to start by convincing people to give you money, and these people don't know you. These people most likely don't know people in Gaza. Like, how do you create this sort of connection? We were very, very surprised positively. I mean, the response was overwhelming. We got so many donations at first that we really could, establish a lot of toilets. And the more donations that we got, the more things we could do. And the more things we could do, the more donations we got. So what we want to share with you today is the story of our organization that became an organization quite organically. We want to summarize quite quickly how we started, because what we would like to do today, because we already presented in February, is maybe talk a bit about where we are today and what happened since we were here last time. But I think that what I would like to start with as a point of departure is that Seba and I did not think of founding an organization when we started. The point was just doing something. And I like the story of the inception of the organization because it's in a way kind of random. So what happened is that we started fundraising, And I told Seba that in Germany you can get donations or gifts up to like 15K a year. And I said that's a ton of money, Seba. We have like the whole year for that. We will not get to this point. And we got this amount in around 2 months. Which I think really is astonishing and just reflects, how much people care and how much people want to take action. So we literally ran to register as an organization because we didn't want all of these donations to get taxed. And I think the process of the organization growing and developing really was just like reacting to what is happening. There are more needs, we need to do more stuff. We're doing more stuff, we need a bigger team, and so on and so forth. So this is what we're going to talk about now.
Yeah, so love and support of people forced us to continue. And actually, we had to be established. We're not complaining about it. We're very happy. But without this support and love, we wouldn't be able to continue and to extend our activities and to expand as well, to add more activities, not only toilets. Now we are doing like many other like within the mandate of shelter and shelter and water solutions, but we still do a lot of activities within this mandate. However, what is our secret? Why 2 people only in short time were able to be very strong, established, and also serve communities in need in such hard conditions? People cannot do anything for Gaza from afar because it's very complicated even to get things inside. What did we do to make it happen? And everybody should still ask us questions that we hope to be clear in answering this, mentioning that we are community-led organization. Tom and I, we're here, you can see us, but there are community behind us, behind the scene in Gaza, who we are in touch with on a daily basis, talking about everything from needs, resources, available resources, gossip, and the most areas they are need. What are people expecting to happen? Do they prefer water here or there? How long people walk from their places or their camps in order to get the 20 liters gallon of waters for drinking? We talk about everything, and we start to plan for not a plan, like a strategic one, to plan for the week, what we are doing. This week we are doing survey to identify water wells in Mawasi. Mawasi is the area and next to the sea, and it's where it's so-called humanitarian area, and almost everybody in Gaza was based there. And it doesn't have any infrastructure. It wasn't populated before. So we have to think about what available resources there. So we thought together, there are water wells, but there is no network, and people will still walk. When we do establish a desalination unit, what can we do? We establish network. It doesn't have to be perfect. What people did when they went to connect area A to area B, before having this complicated networks and infrastructure, we did it same exact way, using simple material we could produce in Gaza, produce plastic pipeline and use it. We made sure it's not poisoning. We do have a field team of water engineers, community outreach people, monitoring and evaluation, camp management, procurement, and also volunteers that they are doing work randomly when it's needed. They're volunteering all the time. They're part of the community. Our team is part of a community. It's not just a traditional wave team. And we are also in direct contact with community leaders, with CBOs, with community-based organizations. We are also establishing connections with local authorities, with vendors. This is the most important thing, because we are doing a lot of projects that they are bigger than our team, that we cannot do them if we want only to depend on it, because we don't have a big team, because we don't have sustainable funding to pay salaries. So we contract vendors to supply water, supply, for example, equipment and material desalination units, to establish them, to connect them, to produce the pipelines, to supply them like this. We do have connections to the best vendors in Gaza that they can still operate and they can be innovative and they can think of alternatives for the projects. About security, let's say that it's one of our biggest concerns because we want to protect our team members, our beneficiaries, ourselves, and also our donors. We are considering that our donors want to make sure that the money they donate, they're going to the right people that they wish the money to go to. So what we do, what is the process? We vet everybody that we work with. We vet through a list done by the American government, and it's called OFAC, the system, and we put the name of every vendor, every beneficiary, every volunteer, every encounter, we put them there to make sure that they are not targeted. Because if they are targeted, everybody else will be targeted. And then we cannot provide like protection places as we claim that we are providing them. So we need to make sure also to vet them through the community. Because sometimes we found out all over our experience that sometimes like these names are clear, they're not targeted, they're not wanted. But we found out that recently they became, and community know of it, and they warn us, and we make sure we exclude people, even it's a hard decision to make, even though we are not sure they are a target or not, because we want to minimize the risk. Hard decision, I know, but we want to continue, we want to deliver what we need, we want to minimize really the risk. Even though we cannot get 100% safety and security in Gaza, because also humanitarian areas are like subject to get attacked or targeted sometimes. They get attacked sometimes, but at least we did all what we can. Also, we make sure that we don't establish or we don't put any of our assets in an area that's not identified, like in red areas or dangerous areas, or areas are not identified by the Israeli military as a humanitarian area. Even though we did that before with one of the desalination units, but this desalination unit, we cannot reach it so far because out of sudden, this area turned to be like targeted, and we couldn't send our team to check on the desalination unit or just to move it. It was too soon. Like it happened so quickly that we couldn't do anything about it. So that's all. Maybe you have some questions, but by the end of the presentation, you will have time to ask all the questions in this regard regarding the operation.
Thanks, Eva. So I want to kind of like summarize this because it's a lot of information to take in. So I think I would summarize this in like 3 points. Okay, first of all, we rely on the community. We are an international NGO. We are registered in Germany, but we operate like a grassroots organization. So we are community-led. We are community-based. We let the community, or I would say like our team, which is community-based, to lead the way, because we do believe that people on the ground know what's good for them. They know what is possible, and they know what is doable, and they're the people who need to do the work. So if we offer any sort of like a top-down solution, it won't happen. You know, it has to come from them. The second thing that is very important in the operations, like Seba said, is that we do not bring almost anything from outside Gaza into Gaza. This allowed us to operate even when there was this siege on Gaza, though it's very important to mention that things were not brought into Gaza also before October 23. So there is a complete, you know, sort of control of the borders into Gaza, what comes in, what goes out, and everything that has to do with infrastructure, which is really the, I would say, like the basis of what we do, cannot be brought into Gaza. So we could bring, for instance, jackets and blankets. We did that at the beginning of 25. It took months. It was excruciating, but we can't bring desalination units, we can't bring solar panels, we can't bring concrete, and so on. So we procure everything inside Gaza, and working within the markets in Gaza allows us to continue to operate, you know, without stopping at all. I want to move to just to give you like an understanding of where we operate, more or less, because I know some people, you know, Gaza Strip, this is like a very vague notion of what that is. So very generally speaking, we work mostly in the Khan Younis governorate and in the more like western part of it, like Seba said, in the coastal line. This is the area that Israel deemed as the humanitarian or safe zone. It's very important to mention that it's neither humanitarian or safe, but this is the area where most of the displaced population was supposed to concentrate. And this is the area that we operate mostly in because, like Seba said, we want to mitigate the risk of our team and the risk of our beneficiaries. We also work in the Deir el-Balach area, and we worked also in the northern part of Gaza City. Mostly we did that when there was the previous ceasefire. It's very important to mention that we don't send our team to work anywhere that is more risky, but again, the risk is there. This is true also for our assets. Like Seba said, we usually try to have our assets movable so that when there is a sort of eviction notice, we can, pull it out, but sometimes we can't. This has to do also with where we stand right now. Sorry. Okay. So we started last year, we took part in the establishment of a lot of camps throughout Gaza. And in around May, we started also providing water to, all sorts of communities in the southern area and the Deir el-Balach area. But we realized quite quickly that this is not sustainable because we bought water from a water company and then we were trucking it around. Only the fuel for the truck cost more than the water itself. And after a few months, we spent like a ton of money and people still needed water all the time. And we felt like, we can't keep on doing that. So what we decided to do was to buy our own desalination system and start, making water for people. And that I think was a very good strategy. So what happened is that where we stand right now, we have 2 desalination units that are operating in Al Moasi. They provide each 8 cubic meters of desalinated water per hour. They usually work around 5 to 6 hours a day. Each of these desalination units is connected to surrounding camps, between 6 to 8, so that's a total of 14 or 15 camps, I don't remember. 14? Yes, that's written down. Yeah, okay, good. And that is around 60,000 people per day that have clean drinking water. We connected the systems to the camps because we wanted people to have frequent access to water. They don't need to walk for kilometers. They don't need to schlep, the water back. They don't need to wait for a truck to come every couple of days. So that was the point. Seba, you want to talk about the camps?
Let me talk about the picture because I cannot resist talking about it whenever I see it. This picture is in front of one of the schools that we were actually repairing in 2024. And these schools, you see, it's partially damaged. There are minor damages, but these schools are hosting sometimes IDP families and sometimes students for 4 shifts a day because only few schools are available to go to. So, and it's very cold because no windows, sometimes no ceiling, and no privacy. They're not isolated. So we did actually for 13 schools in Khan Younis, we did minor repairs using plastic covers somehow and some kind of, we cannot use concrete because we cannot find concrete in Gaza. It's impossible. Even though we wanted to buy it for higher prices, we couldn't find it. So we repaired them using plastic covers and any other alternative that we can find. We did these kind of activities in 13 schools around Khan Younis. So this is the story of this picture.
Good, thank you.
And we talk about the camps now. Yes, we actually immediately after starting doing the toilets, we found out that we are getting pretty well with the fundraising, and we thought maybe we can take part in establishing camps. And one of these camps was this zombie camp that we actually took care of. We funded the establishment of this camp, aiming that it's going to be a protection camp. But later on in the ceasefire in February 2024, when we were here, in February 2025, when we were here last time, there was a ceasefire and everybody went home. Thankfully, we appreciate that everybody went home. But however, after that, everybody had to go back again to Mawasi because they were displaced again. Not the same families, but many other areas. So we reconstructed this camp, we renovated it, and we made it only for protection. And we decided on a certain criteria that we want to host people, the most vulnerable groups, the most vulnerable families, which are like households led by women, elderly, people with disabilities, poor people, people who don't have voice, people that they have like disabled family member, for example. And like this is the main criteria. We remain flexible within this criteria. So we established this camp in this regard, and we established a managed community. We learned that managing a camp from afar is not a good idea. We need to establish a good committee for this, and actually they are doing great and amazing work. Later on, we rented bigger piece of land, like 11.5 dunums, which are 11,000.
Yeah, it's like a dunam is 1,000
kilometer, yes. And we need to translate them into another like
to American sizes.
American, yes.
I don't know how to do that.
I don't know. Like, ask ChatGPT about it. He will tell you. And then, and then now we have 2 protection camps within this clean shelter camps. One called Zomi, another one called Mariam, and they are both. Like now we are hosting 120 families inside, and mentioning about like the management committee. They're mostly women in the management committee, women that they used to be only housewives. They didn't work before, and now they have this responsibility of managing a camp and do coordination. And whatever we do that seemed a little bit simple for us, for them it's something really hard to reach. But now they can do coordination for educational and recreational activities. They can do also coordination for daily hot meals and food kits. Like the day before yesterday, they were bringing formulas for children in the camp, for hygiene kits, for whatever activities happening, music activities happening in the camp. This we don't have the credit for. Women are coordinating for this. They do them, and then she just posts the picture in our WhatsApp group. We look at this and we say, wow, that's great. We have done a great job. Thank you.
Thanks, Eva. So I want to add also that right now in these 2 camps, there are 120 families, and we have the capacity to host around 100 or 150 more, but there are no tents. This is a big issue because we rely on whatever is in the markets in Gaza, but we also coordinate with bigger organizations. We are in constant communication with other INGOs because, first of all, we don't want to overlap. We don't want to do things that other organizations are already doing, and communication is key. But also because we many times can get items that other organizations can bring inside Gaza, and the situation right now is that no one has tents. So tents are a very, very big issue, and we are waiting, to whenever that we can have tents, because we have the capacity to host more families in this camp. And I think this is an important point. I really want to show you now a few photos from our operations. I noticed that many times, like, Gaza is kind of like a place that is, like really, really remote. It's like really, really far away. And I think it's important to show, just what we do and how it looks. So the first photo, the first photo is from the camps. This is actually not very, very, very up to date because you can see here that we were constructing the fence. The fence is already constructed. A fence is one of the most important things when you create a camp because people want protection. And like Seba said, the camp is managed by the women that live in the camp, and this is very, very important because they know what's good for them. They know how to manage themselves. We don't want to come, and tell them what to do. But the sense of security, especially in a camp that has such vulnerable people in it, is essential. So there is the fence. That's the first thing we did. You can see here, this is the new Zomi camp. So after we relocated the camp to the new space, which is more in the southern area of the Al-Moasi. And I really like this photo in the middle because what happened is that women in the camp, they started planting already in the previous location. And when we moved the whole camp, which is a very, quite a difficult endeavor, they moved the plants with them. And I really like this photo. I think it's really nice because it shows, I don't know how to say it without sounding so cliche, but it's kind of like the importance of the small things, you know? We tend to think about the more basic, essential, but even, having your own plants, raising something, caring for something, I think this is almost as essential as water and food.
See, tents are too old. They are overused and we need to change them. We're waiting, it's becoming really hard to change them or to bring new tents. And winter is coming. We recently covered them with these plastic covers you see in the top. But still, that's not enough. We need to, people are not meant to live in tents. So people deserve better housing, but we are even cannot get the minimum thing that even tents, we're not happy that we provide them with tents, but this also we cannot fulfill it in the right way. And here are the activities I was just mentioning that women are organizing. Some teachers in the camp and young students, they do a lot of activities with children like this, and sometimes they coordinate with other organizations that they are specialized in this kind of work, so they are able to do these kind of fun activities. I think, from what I see, from what I hear, that we have happy children in our camps.
Yeah. Okay, I like this slide. I think it's dramatic. So first of all, what you can see is our desalination unit. This is one of the two that are operating. We have another third one that, like I said, we cannot reach at the moment. It's an area that right now the military is in. We didn't even know if it still exists. We didn't know, if it was bombed. We heard now that it does exist. We don't know if it operates. I hope we will be able to reach it soon. So this is one of the two that are operating. What you can see below that is 2 water tanks because some of the camps that we connected to our water system, we couldn't connect to piping. It has to do with topography. It has to do with the pump that you need to bring the water to these camps. So what we decided to do is to put water tanks in the camps and bring a truck every few days that just fills it up. Each of these tanks can hold around 5 cubic meters. Each camp usually would have 2 of these. They cost a lot. They are really, really bad. Bad in that they're old, they're leaking. We have to maintain them all the time, but we can't bring other water tanks into Gaza. So this is just what there is, What you can see here is our water project that we did in Khan Yunis at the beginning of this year. We connected 6 neighborhoods in Khan Yunis to, I would say, a makeshift water, pipe network. And as you can see, Khan Yunis was almost completely destroyed. That was in March this year. We provided water to around 120,000 people per day until around May, when the whole of Khan Yunis was destroyed, including our water system. But, I think 2 months is quite substantial. And what you can see here is the faucets that we put in the camps that we could connect to a water system now. You can see that, but behind our team members, there are 3 faucets. So people can just come and, turn on the water, fill in their small, containers and take it to their tents. The point is that we really wanted access to water to be something that is safe and secure and people are not, stressed about it. We really do believe, like Seba said, this is so obvious. People don't deserve to live in camps. People don't deserve to wait for water. These people deserve to have whatever we have too. So we are trying in these very difficult conditions to kind of mitigate, all of these hardships as best we can.
I wish we have to close in Gaza. I wish that we are not needed in Gaza. I wish we are not needed at all in Gaza anymore. tell us go back to Germany.
Yeah.
Just like if we can get back, I want to talk about this picture.
Yeah.
If you ask the people, because we did that, we just filmed people talking about it. They're like they feel it's much better. They have this water. They feel secure about water, because before they used to walk for long distances in order to get water to themselves and their families. But now, when they said it's when we asked them about how are they satisfied with this, and they said at least we feel secure about water. And actually, if you read about Gaza more, you will know that kidney failure is becoming is spreading out because of the and other water-borne diseases because of the bad salination and the water, the bad water, water with bad quality. So now at least people are, it's not increasing in the spots or in the sites where we are distributing water. Our team manager once said that now I can see people queuing for water, because before they used to fight over the water because they are not sure the water will come tomorrow. When the truck coming with water, they are not sure if the truck will come tomorrow. But now they can see the desalination unit, they can see the site, it's well established, and it tells them clearly, you can come tomorrow and you will find it. So don't be worried about the water. And that's, we are proud of, actually.
Yeah, that's a very good point. Okay, so just like a bit of like numbers. So right now we have more or less, so since we started in January 24, we have established around 1,230 toilets, schools, community spaces, tents. We provided aid to around 150,000 people in Gaza. The number of donations is actually a bit higher because we got a bit more donations in the last 2 weeks. I think more interesting is to have an understanding more or less of the costs that we deal with in Gaza. So just, for like a general understanding of, the expenses. One desalination system would cost something around between $40,000 and $80,000. The reason that, this is such a big gap is just because of the markets. It's very, very hard to source a desalination unit right now in Gaza. They are literally all destroyed. What we do is we kind of refurbish desalination units. We have engineers, so we would take like membranes from one, generator from another, and kind of make it work. We procure these from either private people or companies, and the prices depend on the market and the day, and whatever price a person would decide upon. We decided quite early on that because we want to do urgent response and immediate relief, we can't wait for a better deal. I mean, there isn't a better deal. We can't wait a week or two or a month, to buy something at a lower price, because we can't, first of all, know if the prices will be lower. Second of all, we don't want to wait. We had, for instance, one desalination unit, I think it was like half a year ago, that we almost bought, and then it was just bombed. So it's better to just, buy it when you can. To lease land for a camp, the cost right now is around $1,000 per dunam, which, as we said, is like 1,000 square meters. The camp that we rent right now is 11.5 dunams, so that means that we spend around $11,000 per month just for the lease of the camp, for the land for these two camps. One water tank, as I said, leaking, faulty, requires a ton of maintenance, would be around $3,000, and we need 2 of them per camp. And the water infrastructure, so when we have a desal unit, we want to connect it to a camp, for instance, if we don't need to use the water tanks. So just, the work, construction, purchasing the pipes, and so on, would be around $10,000 per camp. And we did this for 6 camps? No, 8 camps, because 6 have the water tanks. Yeah, so 8 camps at the moment. I think this gives like an overview, of the running costs, and of course things vary all the time, but this is more or less it.
Actually, these prices are ridiculous, but what we offer is priceless.
I kind of want to wrap it up because I really want to hear your questions. This is the most interesting part for us. We can like go through this quite fast.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, challenging, as you all know, we have been through them last year, and again, like everybody, I think, is kind of more or less aware about what kind of challenges that we face, and most importantly, the closure, that nothing to get in. I mean, sometimes we can get equipment and material inside, but not equipment. I mean, like goods, like food, like maybe like blankets or jackets, but nothing like when we want to work in infrastructure, concrete, desalination units, part, membranes, even tents. Now we are like, sometimes things are considered dual use, like water tanks. Water tanks is the biggest, like, I mean, the price that Tom mentioned is crazy. Like, you can get it like in normal days as $50 or $100. Now you're getting it for $3,000 because of the closure. Lack of material in Gaza, and it's becoming like a bargain, you know? Everything, the price is not realistic, and increase and decreases are not realistic. You cannot expect what to do with the things. Also, like, we have problem with funding our activities, especially for the long term. We are not sure, like, we cannot hire people. We cannot establish a team because we are not sure that we are gonna have fund to pay salaries. That's why we are depending more on vendors and consultants, freelancers. We do have like some fixed term members, but not a lot. Instability of the situation. Like, most of the time we cannot plan in a proper way about what we were going to do. Every ceasefire, we start dreaming. We want to do housing caravans. We want to do, I don't know, we repair all the houses. We want to do things, but actually reality doesn't go this way. We learned it the hard way that we shouldn't go that far, and we shouldn't like dream a lot. We should cover ourselves before sleeping, so we don't have this kind of dreams again. So yeah, well, what we do in order to deal with these challenges, we actually try to navigate for material inside, finding alternatives inside, be innovative and creative about solution, and be flexible, most important. And actually, we needed to make peace with the prices of things, with how much things cost, because the prices are ridiculous, as I just said. But we needed to consider that offering a water for a day is just priceless. It's just like, it has like great value that you cannot compare it with money and how we normally buy things or how we normally deal in a normal life. The situation is not normal, and we shouldn't look at it with a normal point of view. We should have like different kind of mentality when looking and analyzing and acting. We try actually to be able to get things from outside, even though it's complicated, and we don't like to do this mission because it takes forever. But now recently we start thinking that we need to start maybe getting ourselves registered in order to be able to get things inside. It's taking forever, but at least we are not just waiting for something to come from the sky. Dealing with entrepreneurs and innovators inside the country, and people become very creative in times of crisis. And especially, let me talk about my experience working with people from Gaza. They are exceptionally creative, and they can do things that we work with them in a way that all the time we brainstorm together. All what I needed is just to encourage them to think out of the box. And then you see the magic happening, because they're very creative, and because also they live in an unusual situation. Just the mind works towards creativity all the time. And actually they're hard workers, and especially they tell us, when I tell them, please take a day off, please rest, they say, we cannot, because if we rest, we start thinking. If we think, we go crazy. So the work and the voluntary job they're doing, sometimes they work with us and they are within the community as volunteers. We don't pay them for everything they do, but they do it to stay within the community, and they do it because they want to stay insane. They don't want to think so much. Yeah, maybe like Tom can talk better about maintaining donor trust, because she has done great efforts to make this happen.
Thanks, Eva. Yeah, this is kind of like the back end, of the organization. But we rely on individual donations as much as we do, more substantial funding from institutions or from like foundations. We really do believe that this is essential for the way we operate, also for our flexibility and for our independence as an organization. We started from individual donations. We care a lot about our donor community. We put a lot of effort into updating, sending, monthly newsletters. I'm not that good at that. It's like once every 2 months. We update a lot on social media. We post a lot of videos. We put a lot of photos. We want people to have a sense of, what their money actually did. And what we also have done is a donor log. So we log individual donations, it's anonymous, and each donor receives a link so that they can follow up on all the donations that we receive and all the transfers that we do to Gaza and what they paid for. I think this really creates a sense of trust. I think this really establishes good communication with donors. We wanted to do that also to negate a very dominant narrative that says that every cent that you put into Gaza goes to Hamas. And we wanted to show, that that's not true, that you can actually see what we're doing, you can see our beneficiaries, and, you can see what your donation has enabled us to do. And I think this really was a very good strategy, looking back, because we have a lot of reoccurring donations. We have a lot of donors, very, very involved in what we do. And this is how we keep on going. I won't go into the insights because I think they're obvious and you can read them. But what I do want, this is nice. Yes. I want to talk a second about what we're going to do, okay? And then I would like to hear, we're going to do also a call for action. That's how we like to finish the talk, but then we will go for the Q&A. So, very generally speaking, because like Seba said, we cannot really plan, like a normal NGO, like a yearly budget, what we're going to do in 2026, because who knows what will happen in 2026. We have no ability to really foresee what will happen in the next month or so. But we do have a lot of plans. We have like a plan A, plan B, plan C, plan G, for whatever happens. We're very agile, we're very dynamic, we can implement changes quite quickly. The way the organization is structured is that it's a sort of like incorporation that we don't have a board. So it's literally Seba and I talk, decide whatever, the team implements it within 2 hours. So it's I think it's a good way to operate in Gaza specifically. But we do have, a concept of what we want to continue doing. We want to continue doing infrastructure and targeting the core problems. I mean, the core problems is a bit vague because, the occupation is the core problem. But like the core problems in Gaza itself, we want to reach as many beneficiaries as possible doing it. We want also to focus a bit on innovation. We are starting to think about a sort of, I would say, like a shelter solution that doesn't reinvent the wheel, but kind of implements the challenges that we see with the shelters that are provided right now. We want to continue doing these protection camps because we understand that even if there would be, let's say, like a peace process tomorrow, people don't have homes. The whole of Gaza is like, it's like 85% is destroyed. There is no infrastructure, there are no homes. Even if people go now to put their tents near their homes, in the rubble, they still need infrastructure. They need water, they need toilets, and so on and so forth. So it's clear to us that, creating more and more camps is essential right now in Gaza. And when it comes to the back end, we of course want to have more visibility. We need to have more substantial funding so that we can, continue and widen our operations. And here you come in. We really rely a lot on our donor community and on the support and help of, the people that have been working with us and helping us along the way. First and foremost, we want people to know about what we do. We want to ask you to talk about us. if you know journalists, reporters, people in the media, I don't know, like social media influencers, like all of this stuff really, really helps us because then more people know about what we do. And the more people know about what we do, we can get more donations, and that's essential for, our operations. We started also a new thing, which is our chapters. This happened again quite organically. So we had groups of people contacting us and saying, "Hi, we want to help, but we want to help as a group. We want to talk with people, but we want to do it as clean shelter." So we developed the concept of a chapter. We have an Italian chapter. We have a new chapter in Switzerland. We were there 2 weeks ago, and they're doing amazing work. We really encourage people to take this initiative because we need help. We need help doing all of this. And the last thing would be to donate. And you have a QR code to our website so that you can get to it. There are flyers there in the back. There are also stickers, because I heard, people like stickers, so they're nice. They really are. Yeah, you want?
Thank you very much. Yeah, we're happy. Like, this is my favorite part of the presentation. Questions. So, please.